Kamen Rider, Kamen Rider, Rider, Rider.
Hello my friends and welcome back. As a lover of costume design, I thought it would be fun to go through and talk about the suit designs of Kamen Rider. Today we're going to be talking about all of the suit designs in the Showa Era that started with Kamen Rider Ichigo in 1971 and ran through Kamen Rider J's movie in 1994. The general formula that we will be going through is that each rider will have a maximum of 5 suits on display and a minimum of 1. Every rider obviously has their base form. Some riders will get a proto form, and then there's the upgrade, super, and final forms, respectively. Not everybody will obey that rule. There are a couple later on down the line that have a couple more, and most here today will just have 1 or 2. So let's dive in with Kamen Rider Ichigo's suit design. Our first suit is not bad, just not super. It's a good start. I like the black. The red scarf is iconic to the character. The helmet is the best part. The chest is a bit puffy, and I don't think the blue works as well as some of the stuff that we will see later. But it is a great start to the character. Our next suit is Ichigo Sakurajima, which is, even by the show's own admission, mostly a cosmetic change. It changes the blue to be much more green. I think the green looks a lot better for Ichigo, but it is also there to show that Takeshi Hongo has become much more confident in his abilities and his powers using the form and using his rider abilities. So that's kind of the purpose behind this first initial upgrade. After that, we get his super form, I would say, which is Kamen Rider New Ichigo. This is his most recognizable form these days, and definitely what I think of in my head when I think Kamen Rider Ichigo. The silver looks great. I like the new helmet. The red scarf continues to be excellent. The chest piece is a little too puffy still in my opinion, but overall it is a great form. I do love that they came up with the idea of what if Shocker kidnapped him again, brainwashed him again, or gave him a stronger form, and then tried to brainwash him, and then Takeshi Hongo breaks free using the power of self-hypnosis. That is the origin of New Ichigo, and it is great. Moving on though, Ichigo would not see his final form until much later during the Kamen Rider Ichigo movie that came out during Kamen Rider Ghost's tenure. This suit is big, brash, and bulky, mostly because Fujioka, who plays Kamen Rider Ichigo, wanted to still do all of the stunts and wanted to be the guy in the suit for the movie, and so they made this much bulkier new Ichigo suit so that he could still do all the stunts. Overall, it's fine. Buff Ichigo is there. It's not terrible, but it's not anything superb in my opinion. Moving on from there though, we go over to Kamen Rider Nigo, and what is essentially just a repaint of Kamen Rider Ichigo's suit. The only real difference between Ichigo and Nigo's base forms is that the helmet is painted black instead of the green. But Ichigo's suit doesn't look bad, so it's nothing terrible. Moving on, we then get Kamen Rider New Nigo, Kamen Rider Nigo's final form, which is much like New Ichigo, only it's got red bits instead of the silver. And I really like this one too. It's a great form, definitely what I think of when I'm thinking of Kamen Rider Nigo. Going forward, we get a much more distinct suit and a good departure away from Ichigo and Nigo, while still maintaining that essence with Kamen Rider V3. I really like V3's suit. I think the helmet is a little weird, but the popped collar is great, the red down the middle is great, it all just blends together very nicely. It's a good departure, but still feels in the same family. Up next, we get Rider Man. Sorry, not Kamen Rider Man. He's just called Rider Man. And his suit is dumb, but I love it. It's so wacky. The yellow with the blue and the green and the red. None of it should work, and objectively it doesn't. But I love this suit. It's so funny and just so full of energy. It is goofy, and I love it. Unfortunately, we then get a momentary break from any of the fun with Kamen Rider X's suit. Not a bad suit by any means. I like the helmet. I like the X pattern. But the gray is just kind of dull in my book, and it just feels a bit plain. Especially compared to what came before it, and what comes immediately after it with Kamen Rider Amazon. This suit is wacky, it is wild, and goofy, and fabulous. He's having a great time. Just the helmet is so bizarre, and the weird patterns on the arms and legs. It's all just goofy, and I love it. Up after that, we get Kamen Rider Stronger. And I have one question about Kamen Rider Stronger. Why is his chest plate made of balloons? Why is his chest plate made of balloons? It's a fine form, it's not bad. It's just made of balloons. Why? After that, Stronger gets Charge Up form, which is his final form. Adds some nice silver decals. But why is his upgrade form made of balloons? I do not get the decision to have the chest made out of balloons. It does not make sense to me. However, moving on from that, we get Kamen Rider Stronger's sidekick. Toei does not officially recognize her as a Kamen Rider, but I am including her here. This is Electro Wave Human Tackle, a wild name, and she's based on a ladybug. Overall, the suit is fine. It's not terrible. I think the helmet is the best part. The yellow gloves and boots are fine. I don't know. There's just something off about it, in my opinion. But moving on from there, we get Kamen Rider Skyrider. And his base form is a bit dark. It's just a kind of dull, in my opinion. But it is a nice callback to the Ichigo suit. Luckily for me, though, the other Kamen Riders on this that I've talked about so far agreed with me that it looked too dark. So when they all fought Skyrider, and the 7 of them all rider kicked him at once, it gave Skyrider his power-up form that just makes the suit brighter. I love that that's how this power-up comes to be. He gets rider kicked by 7 people at once, and so his suit becomes 3 shades lighter. The lighter suit obviously looks better in my opinion. It's brighter, it looks good. I really enjoy it. Moving on from him, we get Kamen Rider Super 1. My favorite Showa Era costume, actually. I really like the silver. The helmet looks great. The tassels are a little bit weird. They're kind of dumb, but I still really enjoy this suit. It looks great in action. After Super 1, just before I put the image up, I want you to think to yourself about what a Showa Era ninja Kamen Rider would look like. Okay? Ninja Kamen Rider. Got that in your brains? Okay, now throw it out, because this is what Zekros looks like. How is this a ninja? Why is this the ninja Kamen Rider? Why? As a suit, it's fine, but just... what? After him, we get Kamen Rider Black. And I'm going to be talking about Black and RX as a singular rider. I know it's 2 different seasons, but it's the same guy, and RX is a sequel to Black, so we're just going to talk about it all at once here. Black as a base form is fine. Nothing too spectacular. I like it. The helmet's the best part again. But definitely not bad by any means. Then we get to Kamen Rider Black RX, who is the prototype for all of the Heisei era costumes. I think it looks nice. It's a good design. The helmet takes a little bit of getting used to, but it looks really nice in motion. Then we get the first side form ever to debut with Kamen Rider Robo Rider. The yellow is nice. It's an alright side form. It works well on playing off of the ideas of Black RX. Overall, does a good job. We get the other side form with Bio Rider. And Bio Rider is a very simple but solid suit. The blue and the red play well together. It's just clean and effective. Next up, we've got our first real villain rider that I want to talk about, which is Kamen Rider Shadow Moon. Not typically given the Kamen Rider title, but I think he is. This is a fantastic, mechanical-looking suit. It's dangerous, and it is a great counter-suit against Black and Black RX. It looks great, and I really enjoy this design. After him, we get Shin Kamen Rider. Shin looks like if they wanted to make a Kamen Rider horror movie, which is what they were going for. So props to them. It looks nice. It looks monstrous and creepy, so it does the job well. After him, we get Kamen Rider Zeto. And Zeto is fine. Nothing terrible, he's just kind of there. Like, I don't hate it. It's a fine suit. It's just nothing too grandiose in my book. And then we get Kamen Rider J. And Kamen Rider J's problem, pardon me, is that he looks too much like Kamen Rider Zeto. I have trouble telling them apart sometimes. They look too similar for no good reason. They are not related in any way. They are not connected in any way other than when they crossed over. But they just look too similar. And it's not a bad suit, it's just a bland suit. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all the fun YouTube stuff I gotta tell you to do. Stay tuned for more. Next time we'll be covering the first 5 riders of the Heisei era. So that's Kuga through Blade. Take care, my friends.